to start recording. Audio is good. Everything looks fantastic. Alright. So yeah, we can start. We can open with Lucic and then just go back into the week standings. Um, or we could leave the week standings for last. Seems like a good last topic. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like with Lucic, he was what? It was domestic.
Yeah. Yeah, what did he get arrested for again? Like,
I mean, what does it really do for the Bruins? Like, it wasn't really valuable.
yeah.
Wasn't doing much this season. He's pretty shit.
We don't even have to. We don't have to address it that much. Like you can bring up his stats if you want, but just give it like a good 2 minutes.
Pretty much.
Just move on, right? The global series is bigger. The Edmonton Oilers, oh my god, they got spanked by Carolina.
What was the score?
It was like 5-1 in the second period.
Oh, wasn't that tonight?
Yep. They fucking Buffalo lost. Brutal. They lost
6-3
6-3.
final, Carolina over Edmonton.
Oh my god, the Blue Jackets won 7-3. What?
Holy
What in
shit!
the heavens?
That's more goals they scored all season.
Yeah. For a team that wasn't scoring goals. The Kraken up 5. It's the Sharks, whatever.
Yeah, it's
Okay. I will introduce us. Let's just get into it. How should I intro this? I'll just go with the what up, guys. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna do a countdown and then I'll start the intro. Ready?
sweet.
5, 4, 3. What is up, guys? My name is Nick Garcella. Alongside me, I have Nick Fazio. This is our brand new pod. We're going to be doing a podcast. We're going to plan to do a podcast for Wednesday uploads, right? I'd assume we're
Correct.
probably going to be around there. But we wanted to do this podcast for a while. We talked about it. I think we went golfing some point in August.
It's
And
been in the works for a while.
yeah, we were talking about this and we're thinking and kept going with the idea and kept thinking of different ideas for it, and well, we're finally sat down and we're ready to talk sports. So it's gonna be a generic
I feel
sport
like every group
podcast.
of guys talks about planning a podcast, and it's finally gotten out of the group chat.
I know, right? Yeah. It's going to be a generic sport podcast. We're going to talk about everything that is up to date within the current week. We're going to address what you guys need to hear, what we want to talk about. Without further ado, let's get started. So, we'll go right into the NHL because there
Yep.
are some current news with Milan Lucic. Milan Lucic got arrested. This came out of nowhere. Like, just Milan Lucic got what? Flipping on Instagram. What the hell? What's going on here? What we
Twitter alert, exactly.
Yeah, what were your thoughts like when you saw Milan Lucic?
Honestly, I saw the alert and I didn't really read into it much initially, just because I didn't. Very honestly, I was too busy and I was at work and I didn't have the time to take a look into it. But
Mhm.
when I found out it was for a domestic, it was pretty disturbing, honestly. Like, just he's a big guy, you're a pro athlete, got a lot of strength to you, got a lot of size to you. Just to think that you're taking advantage of that against probably a smaller person and his wife, that was not great to hear from
Yeah,
an NHL superstar.
yeah, absolutely. And I was appalled, of course, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen. But yeah, it kind of took the hockey world by surprise. Obviously there's been the things with the Blackhawks over the years and what's happened with them. So, they're just another thing to happen in the NHL. I don't like the direction it's headed towards, but yeah, it's just not a good look for Milan Lucic. Not a
It's
good look for the
unfortunate.
Bruins either. But what can you do, right? It happened. It happened, and gotta move on.
If
Uh,
there's a positive, it's probably not going to affect the Bruins too much on the ice. Yeah,
No.
in 4 games this year, he had like 2 points, both assists. He's not a goal scorer. They don't need another goon. They're already physical enough. They're one of the best teams in the NHL, and if anything, he just held them back. So the team just took us this.
And surprising a force like Milan Lucic, who we've known to be the guy, right? He goes to the Bruins and he is the guy. And he came back and yeah, he's been putting up lackluster performances and just not being able to produce on the score sheet, which you don't see with Milan Lucic. So that was weird. But let's get into this global series because the NHL Global Series just happened this past weekend.
Some good
Four
games.
teams went, some good games, right? The Red Wings went, the Ottawa Senators, the Minnesota Wild, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. There were some actually very entertaining hockey games, which I wasn't expecting at all. Going to
The
Sweden,
Red Wings versus Leafs games was fantastic. I had a really fun time watching that.
and I have to say, the first game between the Senators and Red Wings, that was
Mm.
that was crazy. I think the Senators were up by they're up 4 goals or
Or
something.
nothing.
I think it was 4-0, and then the Red Wings came back, and the Senators still won it. A swing out of the ballpark by Brady Kachuk at the end of the
Normally, a
game.
team that comes back has all that momentum. They can close the job or get the good job done. Sorry, in overtime.
Yeah, not with the Red Wings. They the last time they had this extraordinary lead in a game where they went overseas or had, let's say, some sort of a big game like Winter Classic was against the Leafs in the Centennial Classic, and the same exact thing happened. They had they were losing 4-1. They came back in the third period, and they lost in overtime. This must be a recurring streak with the Red Wings in big games. I don't understand, but yeah, the overall performance of the teams and just the vibe, going to Sweden and seeing all those Swedish legends in the
The energy was
stands.
high, that's for
The
sure.
energy was very high, and I gotta say,
Yeah, it was cool to see Nylander play in front of his mother for the first time as well.
I gotta say one player for sure. Yeah, William Nylander absolutely was a star out there, and just absorbed the energy. I don't know if you saw the talk show that he went on, and he was like, he had the muscle shirt on. Oh, you didn't see this?
No, no,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no.
So I'll paint you a picture. So he goes on this Swedish talk show, and I think Madison Beer was there too. It was weird. Like Madison Beer was there. She was on the same exact
I
show
heard
with
about
him.
this on Spin
Yeah,
Chicken.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I, 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 I was like, okay, first, obviously he's gonna be on a Swedish talk show because he's like an icon in
Hmm.
Sweden. He's like a
Mr.
well-known
Sweden.
celebrity, Mr. Sweden. And so he's on this talk show, muscle shirt, like just laid back, just chill, just Willie, right? Just being Willie this year,
Yep.
knowing how his vibe has
Billy
been.
Styles.
And this lady who is the host is just having an interview with him, and all of a sudden starts like touching his muscles and stuff like that, and like getting a little too
Can I get
touchy.
a feel?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
for
okay.
for William Nylander, and it was just weird. It was weird to just see, I don't know, Nylander in that scenario, but that's kind of like that's how his ego's kind of been this whole season. He's just
I think what he's becoming is one of the league's only platform superstars. Like they
mhm.
have Zegras, who is kind of one of those guys. They have Matthews, who's becoming one of those guys with this deal with Prime. So I think Nylander is the league's next big superstar to put out to the rest of the world and show like, hey, hockey players have personalities too, not just guys in the NBA or the NFL or whatever other league. Because you look at a guy like LeBron James, a Steph Curry, a Patrick Mahomes, a Justin Jefferson, they have kind of a reach everywhere. Everyone loves these guys. Everyone knows them. Even if you're not a huge fan of the sport, you know who these guys are. Unfortunately, if you go up to some small town and you say, "Hey, do you know who William Nylander is?" Chances are they're not going to know who he is.
Yeah, and he's definitely become a personality in the NHL himself. Just obviously going to Sweden and getting all that attention, but even before Sweden, I
Mm.
mean, this guy is a points per game player every night. Had a 17 game point streak still going on.
Yep, red hot.
One of the best goal scorers right now in the NHL, and Austin Matthews leads the lead in goals, and still
Mm.
William Nylander's up there. So yeah, he's definitely been, for my opinion, one of the best players this season in the NHL, and I hope he continues to do so for Toronto because kind of getting carried by the offense. But yeah, that was.
Do you hope he does so because you're not signing him.
Oh,
That's a
so
different conversation,
do
but
you want to
you're
jump
not
into
signing
that?
him.
We can for like a minute or
And we
two because
only can.
I could talk about contracts forever.
All right, so the
I
thing with Nylander is, I told you before the season started, I told everyone that he's going to lead the team in points by the time the deadline comes around because he's going to want a contract. And if he can't get a contract from the team, which he didn't, he's going to want out and make sure whatever team he gets traded to is going to re-sign him for big money. So he's making sure his value is at an all-time high. Contract year with Nylander is one of the best players in the league, and he'll probably have, I want to say, close to like 80 points, if not more, deadline rolls around. Leafs can afford him. If he has more points than Matthews, which he will, maybe not goals, but points for sure, and he's the reason that the team's winning games right now, he's going to ask for the same amount of money, if not very, very close to what Matthews is making. They can't afford that. So he's gone unless they make some other drastic moves.
see. I wouldn't doubt it for a second that William Nylander was going to be one of the highest points per game players this season. I wouldn't doubt that for a second because I knew he had to make his money. And when William Nylander needs to be a star in a big moment, and that's this whole season for him, he's going to do so. He's done it in the playoffs. He's done it before on a contract year. He when he has to perform, he performs. So I wouldn't doubt that for a second. However, I do think the Leafs will find a way to re-sign him, just because of William Nylander's whole nature with this city. You know, he's a Calgary boy. He grew up in Calgary and he's been in Canada all his life, and he's kind of known this kind of weather and the whole vibe of Canada. And since he's moved to Toronto with the Maple Leafs, he's kind of adapted to the whole culture of the city, and he's enthralled and taking the TTC every day to hockey. He's loving the vibe of the city and the vibe of the fans, and hasn't really looked back, hasn't really looked anywhere else, or he's just been himself in the city. And I honestly don't think he wants to play anywhere else. In my opinion, that's what I think he wants. If the Maple Leafs said we can't afford you, then it's another story. But if there's
Yeah.
money on the table for Nylander and at least make it happen, I do think he'll resign.
Problem is, right now there is zero money, or at least the money that he wants. They don't have that type of cap space. Nylander, I see him in a market like LA or New York, just because, like I said, he is becoming the one of the league's most diverse, like platform worthy superstars. And I know Toronto's a huge market, obviously, but there's arguably no bigger market than LA and New York. So you put him there, he succeeds. Also, why not play in the warm weather? If you're going to get paid a lot of money, why not play hockey in a warm weather climate or somewhere where you can wear shorts and have a little more fun with your style? Because we know Willie Styles likes to, dress it up. And then also, the reason I don't think the Leafs will be able to re sign him is because I've heard a lot of talk of, oh, like sign him to a bridge deal 2, 3 years or 1 year, then come back to the deal, or come back to the table next year or 2 years from now, and that's not going to work. Guys don't want to do that. They have a contract year, they want to get signed long term after that money. He's not going to want to have to do what he does this year 2, 3 times over the next 3 or 4 years to prove, hey, I'm still worth the money you think I'm worth, or that I told you I was worth before. No, he's going to have one really, really good year this year, get his bag, and then just have decent years for the next, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, playing in the warm weather, that makes sense. Obviously, who wouldn't want to play in that warm climates? And especially with the taxes in Toronto, I mean, he's not making a lot of
Mm-hmm.
money on his contract because he's just getting taxed majority of it. So that's a big problem for him playing in Toronto. But I did pitch this to a couple people, and I've talked to some of my family members about it. The idea of, and I know everyone's gonna say, "Oh, just get rid of the old guy," but John Tavares, in my opinion, the last 3 years has
Mm-hmm.
shown enough for a team like an Arizona, a is that then you probably go to like a Montreal, but I would never say Montreal because they would never trade him there. But in terms of cap, you see what I'm aiming for, right? A team
Mm-hmm.
that is looking for somewhat of a superstar player or a really good player to kind of elevate their game and elevate their market and also draw eyes to the group and for the next 2 years. And I think John Tavares putting up 80 points the last 2 years, he's on pace for it again this year, and being one of the best faceoff men in the NHL. I still think he has a tradable contract with only 2 years left, but then again, you go to the open market and you say raise the hands of who would trade for John Tavares. I don't think you get a lot. So that's a tough one.
I was gonna say I think the only reason why he's projected to get 80 points this year and has been doing that for the past couple of years is because he's playing with three of the top 15 point getters and three of the top 15 offensive players in the NHL. Any guy who was anywhere in the MVP conversation 5, 10 years ago in his conversation, like Tavares, is going to be able to still put up numbers like that. You put Corey Perry on that team, and he puts up the exact same amount of points, if not more, and contributes more to that team. Um, is he making $11 million?
John Tavares, yeah.
Unless you're
Yeah.
unless you're in a position to compete for a Stanley Cup and you have the money, you're not trading for this guy in Arizona. They're not trading for him. What would you have to give up for Tavares? The Leafs want what? Young guys who can win. Arizona has none of those. You're not going to trade Keller. You're not going to trade Cooley. There's just guys you're not trading because that is your future. I don't think there's a trade market at all for a John Tavares unless it's Colorado on a budget, Tampa on a budget, Boston somehow working their cap. Unless it's teams like that, I don't see anyone trading for Tavares.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one for sure. Moving along, the Maple Leafs are a good team right now. The Boston Bruins are a good team. The Vancouver Canucks are a good team. The Edmonton Oilers aren't. They
They're
suck.
not.
They are
Load up.
brutal.
Yep.
And they just lost a stinker to the Carolina Hurricanes tonight at the time of recording this pod. 6-3 to Carolina. I understand Carolina's a good
Edmonton
group.
should have won.
Yeah, even Carolina's had their own struggles. They haven't
Yep.
looked fresh out of the gate. So, Nick, what do they fix in Edmonton? Like, what do they do to get over this
It's the
hump?
same trade. The same trade that I projected for the Leafs. The Leafs and Oilers need to make the same trade, and that's somehow working a deal. The Leafs have more to work with though because they have more assets and like a guy William Nylander, he an all-time high. They need to make a deal for Roman Yossi and UC Saros because Nashville's not competing. They need a defenseman. They need a goaltender. You're not going to get like Mike Smith. Nope. John Gibson isn't going to get the job done. Who's on the trade market right now? Like there isn't really many guys that you can go out and expect to compete or be able to hold the load that is being the Edmonton Oilers goaltender. Arguably the only other spot in the NHL worse playing goalie than the Leafs the past 10 years just because what we've seen happen to their goalies and how many they've rotated through. Um, Tricky, but you need an all-star goalie there. And even if it's not for the long term, you need someone to be able to be the culture change or part of the culture change
Mm-hmm.
that the Oilers need to compete in the playoffs this year because we run through everyone normally in the regular season and in the playoffs too. We see them run through some pretty good teams, and last year they just couldn't get past Vegas, and the winner of that series was winning the cup. Should have been Edmonton, but they just didn't have the back end to compete.
I can make a case for Roman Yossi, absolutely. And the Steve Dangle pod talked about the Maple Leafs and Roman Yossi and UC Saros trade. It's whatever. I'd rather focus on Edmonton here, and I could make a case for Roman Yossi in the fact that Matthias Ekholm is on the Edmonton Oilers. And so there's a good amount of chemistry from those two playing in the past, and maybe that's a relationship that those two want to rekindle. So if the Oilers can make that trade happen, I mean, I don't know what they would give. If I'm, what are you gonna offer? Like Ryan Nugent Hopkins and a
It'd
draft
be
pick,
Nuge
and
and one of your
but I'm not wanting that if
Nuge is a part of that.
I'm not wanting that if I'm Nashville. Why would I want Ryan Nugent Hopkins? He had a 100-point season last year, but he only has like 5 points this year.
Yeah, and it's because you're playing with McDavid and Draisaitl for
Yeah,
most of the year.
exactly, exactly. Look at Zach Hyman. He had 80 points last year. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't see a world where they can get Roman Yossi Would I go all in for Roman Yossi? 100%. But I don't know of a world where they
There's
can.
only two guys you're not touching on that team.
Yeah, pretty
That's it.
much.
There's
Yep.
two untradeable assets. Everything else, take it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
I mean, they could figure it out. They could. I would refrain from UC Saros because I think Jordan Bington's on the mind of the Edmonton Oilers. I love to imagine a world where Jordan Binnington and Evander Kane are on the same team. That
Oh my
that
goodness.
would
Yeah, I
be
need to see that. I
madness.
need to see that.
And imagine just we see in Edmonton Oilers practice, Evander Kane and Binnington get into a scrap. It's all going
Which will
down here
happen
for
by
the
week
Oilers.
two.
It'll happen. It'll
Yeah.
happen, and they'll get all their frustrations out and yada yada yada. But yeah, taking a look at the standings for the NHL thus far, it's
Yes.
it's not really gone according to plan. Like from what a lot of people would have expected it to look like, I couldn't foresee this at all. I mean, obviously the
No,
Eastern,
like Boston was supposed to take a hit, and
yeah,
Boston's
Boston
still
was supposed to
Boston.
be down the drain.
I have the Rangers winning the cup, and I told you I think the Rangers are the best team in the NHL healthy. So them being second place in the East is no surprise to me. Go Rangers, go!
Yeah, you know what? You actually made a really
Florida
good call
still
with them.
being up there. Oh, I told you, best team, best goalie, best decor, best offense in the Leafs. Like it's insane. They have two first lines and two second lines. There's
Mm-hmm.
and healthy. There's no way you're beating that. There's not going to be another incident from last year's playoff happening with the Rangers this year.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the biggest upset thus far this season has got to be the Vancouver Canucks. Like, who thought?
Yeah, that is huge.
You know what? I have said this quite a bit, and I'll say it again. I think Bo Horvat going to the Islanders was the biggest victory for the Vancouver Canucks. Not for the organization, and not for like, Bo Horvat was a legend for this team, and I think he leads them in points, franchise points. I'm pretty sure, or he's like fourth all time or something. Uh,
I would think that'd be a Sedin, no? Hednick?
I think he's like fourth all time in Vancouver points.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, he's done a lot for that organization. But however, Elias Pettersson was never going to be Elias Pettersson with him being on the second line. Now that he's moved to the first line, Elias Pettersson has gone to work, and that entire
He
team.
leads the NHL in points, no?
Yeah, he's been
He's the
disgusting.
point leader, I think.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, and I definitely think that was the right move for them. You need to make a move to make a play, and they've adopted
Brock
after it.
Besser's been nasty too.
He's been really
Brock
good
Besser's been
too.
carrying my fantasy team recently as well.
Quinn Hughes, he's been a beast. Thatcher Demko having a comeback year. What's
Yep.
his name? Philip Uronic.
Jermenko?
Philip Uronic.
Yep, correct.
He's got like what's his plus minus? It is ridiculous. I think he's like plus 20, 21 or something like that. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he is actually.
That would be absolutely insane. Let me
Well,
see
he's a
this.
really good defenseman, to be quite honest, and he's always kind of carried that play that way. He's plus 12, okay, but 18 points in 19 games from a defenseman who, like, in his career has been nothing but a third line pairing. So take that into an account.
What a come out year
Like
for him.
what?
Holy.
He's been incredible. That whole team has been great, and I'm
Vancouver's a story this year.
they're definitely a
I don't know
story.
if people are taking them serious as a contender yet for the cup, but give it like 10 more games at this
Yeah.
pace and they'll need to for sure.
Well, you know what? They definitely have the hunger, and I think that's something you have to have going into a full regular season.
Mhm.
Because you can get away with skill for so long. You can get away with good defense, good goaltending, but to have that hunger aspect, to have that mentality going into every game of the year, that come playoff time, you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that mentality in
True.
your mindset, right? So I think the Vancouver teams of the past that made the playoffs didn't have that edge. Got carried by Jacob Markstrom and that goaltending. So I'd love to see a Vancouver team that's actually hungry. Maybe get back to
Yeah,
that
there's
Stanley
something
Cup
special about
final.
this team.
Maybe get back to that Stanley Cup final like they did in 2011. So we'll see. We'll see. But
A dark horse team for the playoffs, that'd be fantastic.
that's a story that's building very, very quick.
I think
Moving,
LA, honestly,
no,
LA could be in that position too.
yeah, yeah. You know what? And did you want to talk about that? Because I actually value the LA Kings a lot to be a potential contender as well.
Going into the year, I would have had them being like a maybe 6, 7 seed in the West, but seeing that they're in the third spot is just blowing my mind right now. They have 3 losses on the year. Like they're just, it's a young team, but it's also the Anze Kopitar, who seems not to age at all. Drew Doughty, who isn't having the best year statistically of his career, but he's still playing like a lockdown defenseman. LA's making moves, man. Byfield, insane. Jesus.
That Pacific Division is insane. Vegas at the top, Vancouver second, LA third. They all have three or less losses.
Unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. And the story of the Kings has been Cam Talbot. Like
Yeah.
just found his team, just found his niche. Like when he was on Minnesota, he was that guy. Then he went to Ottawa and it was like, whoa, what happened here? Now he's back. He's
Yep.
back better than ever. And
Is him.
it's a Cam Talbot. He's him. He's been the guy. And yeah, LA's got a lot to thank for him, but it's a long season. Let's see how he lasts. Moving on to the NFL, which me and you are very topical about. We could talk about NFL forever.
Yes.
First thing I want to get out of the way. Matt Canada got fired from the Steelers.
Oh, Canada. Yes.
So that
They needed that. They need a culture
was
change.
it was a huge move for the Steelers, and every Steelers fan I've talked to, they said, "Thank God. Thank God they got rid of that guy." But, I think Steelers fans probably have as strong as opinions as Leafs fans do, so I'm not surprised that they reacted in that manner. He wasn't
Yeah, no,
terrible.
the Steelers. No, the thing was the Steelers they're a 6-4 record right now. But they've been outscored by every team that they've played. I forget how that works, because they've won more games than they've lost, obviously.
Mm,
But overall, they've been outscored offensively than their opponents, which the AFC North cannot be happening, because if you expect to make a deep playoff run against teams like Baltimore, who can put up points, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, so never mind, let's take them out of the equation. But Miami in the AFC, Buffalo in the AFC, Kansas in the AFC, you're gonna have to be able to put up points. And right now, the Steelers cannot. They're winning
yeah.
from their defense scoring more points than their offense.
And that's the thing too. I heard in a podcast the other day the mentality of the Steelers really was an insider from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he basically said the defense's reaction to every game: get us 2 touchdowns and we'll win you the game. That's pretty much been their whole season. Get us 2 touchdowns and we'll find a way to win. And that's the recipe for disaster in my opinion. But I think
Unless you're the
getting
Baltimore Ravens in 2000, it's not gonna work.
that division's crazy. That division is insane. Like just how that division has evolved where I think the Bengals are last place right now, right?
Correct. With a 5-5 record.
How did that happen? Like the Ravens,
Injuries. Did I not? I was telling everyone, but I feel like I would have had the conversation with you too before the season, saying that I feel like the Bengals just won't have a good year. I said it was either going to be Chase or Burrow that goes down early with an
mm,
injury, and because they had too much time in the sun. Like the Bengals came out of nowhere after Burrow was drafted, and they were riding too high. They needed something to just kind of take a step back here, and hopefully Burrow comes back with more hunger. All the best in his recovery, but yeah, I wasn't too surprised to see the Bengals not have a good year, even healthy. I wouldn't be surprised if they were still last in this division right now.
the defense got hurt quite a bit too. There was a lot of injuries on the defensive side, so that hurt the Bengals for a while. That was I would like to say the last game or the second last game that the Bengals played. I finally saw that hunger from the Bengals defense again. That aggressiveness that we've seen in
It
previous
could have been
playoff
against the
success.
Ravens because it was the
I
divisional
think it
game.
was against the Ravens. And yeah, we just saw that aggressiveness that they brought out and that hunger. And that was something like, whoa, we haven't seen that all season. Well, now we know why.
Hmm.
Injuries for the Cincinnati Bengals. For the Steelers, though, it's interesting because they have so many weapons. And now that Matt Canada's gone, well, all the eyes are going to go to Kenny Pickett
Yes.
because now there's nothing left to stop you from saying, okay, now it's Kenny Pickett's fault.
Yep.
Because there's no other equation where he escapes from any damage being thrown his way. So now he's got to perform, which I don't think he'll have an issue. I'm not sure how hard the Steelers' schedule is, but they haven't had it easy the whole season. They've had some good defensive groups and some offensive groups that are pretty decent, but they'll probably still make the playoffs. Like they have a good, well balanced running back group. Najee's had a bad season, but Warren stepped up when he needs to. And then you look at their receiver group, who just kind of needs a pick me up, really.
Yeah.
And a decent
I
tight
like
end,
the
it's
receiver
not too
core.
bad. Yeah.
No, I like the receivers that the Steelers have, and I think any team after they fire an offensive coordinator and bring someone else in, they always have a good couple weeks.
Mm,
They're red hot. They're motivated to play for the new guy again. So I think that's kind of what the Steelers need. I think they will make playoffs as well because I do think the Browns will take a little bit of a slide eventually. Their defense is still going to play lights out, but their offense is just not good,
yeah.
to be honest. I guess that's kind of the entire AFC North outside of the Ravens right now. But even with the Ravens now with an injury to Mark Andrews, we'll see how that transpires to on play field. But sorry, on field play, I should say. But the Steelers will make the playoffs. They're going to be inspired and motivated for the next couple of weeks without Matt Canada there. Steelers fans will be very happy because they've been chanting for months to fire the guy. So
Mm.
let's see what happens with let's see what happens in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, I would argue the Chargers' offense has been pretty good. They just can't keep the ball out of their end zone. That's just been their whole problem this year.
This is
Um,
true.
but yeah, I would say that offense has definitely been a massive struggle for the AFC in particular. Speaking of the AFC, your Chiefs had a very tough game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Unfortunately, they lost. I was hoping they were going to win because I was up against Jalen Hurts in fantasy, and he
Mhm.
kicked my ass. So
When you
that
say
sucked.
tough, what do you define tough?
Defensive. That was a defensive juggernaut of a game. Back and forth,
It
sacks,
was.
interceptions, it,
It
every
shows that the
corner.
Chiefs have the better defense. I'm very honest. The Chiefs have
Yes,
better defense than the
yes.
Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They sacked Jalen Hurts 5 times in the first half. That's
Yep,
more times than he's been sacked in any game this
yep.
season. The problem with the Chiefs right now is the offense. And if anyone were to tell you going into the season that, hey, the Chiefs might have the best defense in football, top two for sure, and struggle with their offense a little bit, they'll probably get better eventually, but they're going to struggle with the offense. How do you think their season's going to go?
Yeah.
You'd say they're Super Bowl because, hey, every year that they've had bad defense but really good offense, they've made it or won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, it's not going to be anything different. The problem this year is not just the wide receivers. It's Mahomes hasn't had, and I'm a Mahomes fanboy. Mahomes has had a lot of games where he's made some bad mistakes, where it's not just the receiver's fault or he dropped the ball. Because yes, the receivers have had a stupid amount of drops this year, which is
Yeah.
just unacceptable. But there have been some plays like his one turnover in the end zone where it's just what is he doing? He's making these plays where he feels like he has to force it downfield and he doesn't. He's looking for the really hard pass to just not necessarily make the highlight reel play, but just make a play because nothing else is available.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just taking the check down or running it 3 yards up the field and taking a slider out of bounds or something. He's going for the highlight and it's cost them a couple times. So that's what I noticed in that game. If it wasn't for that one turnover and then the Kelsey fumble in the end zone, sorry, the red zone. That's the first time in his career he's fumbled in the red zone,
Mm-hmm.
which had to happen against the Chiefs. Literally happens a year. He does it. He fumbles the ball one time a year, not in the red zone, but just once a year, and it had to happen against the Eagles. There was just a lot of stuff that went wrong in that game, and then obviously MVS not being able to catch a perfect ball. There was just so much that went wrong in that game. But also, I'm not too worried because all of that went wrong. Eagles only won by 4 points.
Yeah, it was a close
If
game.
none of that goes wrong, or even one of those things go wrong instead of three, four, five, Chiefs win that game. Eagles had a really good second half, and they really tried in the first. The Chiefs were just way better in the first,
Mm.
and they let them come back in the second. But they only won by 4, so it's fine. We'll see them in February.
And they should have won at the end of that game. That should have been a touchdown. That should have been a cop ball. It was a difficult throw because I guess wasn't enough meat on that ball. So kind of having to look back was the receiver. But I mean, you got to catch that ball. You're all alone. You got to position yourself to be able to catch that ball. But
Mhm.
I think the Eagles showed why they're one of the best teams in football. Like, and not because they dogged the Chiefs, because they didn't. They didn't destroy them at all. It was a very close game to the end. Both teams didn't
Mhm.
have the best of games, but when these two teams have to step up to the occasion, they naturally do. And the Philadelphia Eagles, when Jalen Hurts was hurt and down and needed to find ways to make plays, he went to DeAndre Swift. He found ways to scramble. He found when AJ Brown was not doing so well, not having a great game, he had Devontae Smith to catch the ball. So that was a amazing game by Jalen Hurts just to face adversity and come in
Mhm.
and win that ball game. And I really want to see, and I know you're gonna hate to hear this, but I really want to see Jason Kelsey lift a trophy. I just want to see him. After seeing that
Yeah,
clip
it'll be.
this season with the daughter talking about Uncle Travis and Uncle Travi won. Why can't you win? And I just want to see Jason
Yeah,
Kelsey win so bad. But that would be
I
that would be
think
amazing.
with Hurts, the one thing I'll give to him is if he can stay in a game, like if his team is in a game, they'll find a way to win close to the end of it. Then that's the problem. The Eagles just found a way to stay in that game even after being down at halftime by 10 points. I believe it was. It was 17-7. They
Mm.
found a way to stay in the game. Jalen Hurts will win you those games. Simple as that. Doesn't really matter who he's going against. If he's one score, two scores away from a W, he's gonna get it. The uh the problem, actually not even the problem, but Jason Kelsey will lift the trophy this year. It'll just be the NFC Championship. That's about it.
Mm. All right. Who do you think's on the other end of that side? Is it going to be your Chiefs or is it going to be another Baltimore Ravens? Who do
The
you think?
AFC at the kind of is a walkthrough outside the Baltimore Ravens. Like Chargers trash, Browns not gonna happen,
Yeah.
Bengals not gonna happen,
The Bills
Bills
not
not gonna
they
happen.
may not even make the playoffs.
Overrated roster. Nope, most overrated roster in football. Josh Allen, I said it at the beginning of the season, not a top five quarterback. I understand how he plays. I get it. I know what we see on field, but I also know what we see on field at the exact same time. He's not a top five QB at the moment. There's no one else in the AFC that scares me. The Jaguars are good, not there yet. Texans, dark horse team, that could be a fun matchup, not there yet.
No, they're not there yet.
It's the Chiefs, baby.
Yeah, and the Texans have been my lover this year. I love watching that team. CJ Stroud and Tank Dell, they've been a magical matchup. Dalton Schultz has found his way. Singletary went from a running back that nobody wanted. Hey, everyone wants him. All the eyes on him now. So yeah, that's been a fun team to watch too. But yeah, I get you. The AFC, it's kind of a walk. If Lamar Jackson can stay healthy, maybe it gets interesting. Mark Andrews comes back. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would pick the Chiefs every day of the week before the Baltimore Ravens in that matchup. But man, that 49ers and Eagles game, or sorry, NFC Championship, if they both get there, and they probably will, that game's going to
Yeah.
be unbelievable. And I think they play
Unless
next week or
Dallas
something,
makes
right?
it. I believe so. Let's
I
see.
think it's
Let's
in
check that.
2 or 3 weeks that they play.
Dallas is the only other team that I can see coming out of the AFC, right? The NFC, sorry. Uh, let's see. Yeah, Niners, Eagles. That's next week because this week they
Wow,
face the Bills. Eagles have a pretty challenging schedule the next 4, I'd say, because they got the Bills,
they do.
Niners, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks, which will be a fun game. And they
Mm.
have the Giants twice in 3 weeks. Tommy DeVito's team now, and good love watching that kid play football.
These looked
And they
unreal.
also got the Cardinals. Yeah, DeVito is so fun to watch.
Hmm.
He's not a great quarterback at any stretch of the imagination, but man, is he fun to watch.
And honestly, just the way he plays and his style of play, I love it. I love to see just the confidence exuding from Tommy DeVito.
Did you see the photo of his family?
No, I didn't.
Do me when we're done recording this. Look up the photo of his family, or do it now. Just type in Tommy DeVito's family.
Okay.
My God, it is the most Italian-looking family I've ever. It is basically The Sopranos. Like his father
No way.
looks like he knows a guy who knows a guy who can get something done.
Let's
Let's
see.
see if you get the
Tommy
right photo
DeVito
here.
family.
Because they showed him on TV during their last game this weekend, and it was all over the internet after.
Oh, I see it. Oh yeah. What the heck?
Yeah, yeah. That is
That's
New Jersey at
hilarious.
its best.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, good old Italian kid. You know. Yeah, that's funny. That's hilarious. Tommy DeVito. He's become a story inside New York, and he's gonna continue being a story. And until, you think they'll be his starting QB next season? Their starting QB. Think he has the potential?
I think you have to get off of Daniel Jones because he's not a winner, and you're paying him way too much money.
I think so
I don't
too.
know what else you can get right now, just because the quarterback market is so slim. Because no one wants to give up their franchise guy, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think the Giants. I don't think the Giants get their guy this offseason. So yeah, Tommy DeVito is their starting quarterback for the foreseeable future.
I think so too. I think starting next year he'll be the starting QB, but who knows? There's trades that could be made, and they could potentially move on to someone who's not wanted in another organization. There's plenty of them.
Mhm.
Quarterbacks have not been easy to come by this season. All right, so one thing that happened this week that was brutal was injuries. Holy smokes! We already brought up Mark
Yes.
Andrews unintentionally. Injuries
Yeah.
were just brutal for fantasy owners and just NFL TV watchers.
Yeah, Joey Bosa was a big one too to watch go down. That was
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate.
I think Geno Smith got hurt. I'm not sure if he's gonna play.
Gino got injured. Yep.
I think K9 is out.
Tyreek has a small hand injury, but he
Yep,
should be
yep.
fine.
He went down, and then Joe Burrow, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson got hurt, came back.
Yeah.
It was insane. I mean, just there must have been something in the air in the football grounds this week because these guys could just not stay up on their feet.
No, there's the grass. Turf needs to go. Bring grass in,
Mm.
please. First things first,
Mm-hmm.
and also the Joe Burrow injury. What do we know about it? Because it was his hand or his elbow.
So what I'm hearing is it was his hand. I think it was something to do with his. Well, he wasn't able to grip the football, so it has to
Hmm.
be something with like his tendons in his hands, right? So, or maybe a
Jeez.
wrist injury of some sort, but
Yeah, something's got to be torn or something in there.
100% because I think at halftime there was reports that Joe Burrow was seen on the sidelines not being able to even grip a football. It's like, okay, you
Yeah,
should not go out there, man. Like,
there's
and
a problem there.
apparently the Bengals were supposed to get fined for not disclosing an apparent injury with Burrow. I'm not sure if they did.
Correct, because he came into the arena wearing a little brace on his
Yeah,
hand, and but he wasn't on the IR report. And because betting reasons, you need to list those, right? You put those guys in the list, so the bettors know, and the public knows, Vegas knows, and everything. He wasn't on there. He gets injured early in the game, and he sits the rest of it. And people were not happy about that.
absolutely. Oh, well, he's out for the season, so I guarantee a lot of fantasy owners that are not happy. That would suck. And I think one of our guys in our fantasy, which is
I was
actually my
gonna say
cousin,
your cousin.
he's down in the dumps. He is so down in the dumps right now. But he made a
He has
comeback. He
Chase
made
and
some
Burrow.
trades. Yeah, he made some trades. I
Yep,
think he gave away Chase to get a QB, so he's got Dak Prescott now. So can't be
correct.
complaining. Yeah. Let's take a look into like next week's games or this week's games because Thursday there's going to be 3 games. Friday I think there's only one, right? And then
Friday there's only one.
there's only one, and then I don't think there's any games Saturday. They just move on to Sunday.
Sunday and a little bit of Monday. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Thursdays, I'm liking a lot.
there's a lot of good games.
We have the Packers and Lions 12:30, Commanders Cowboys 4:30, And the Niners Seahawks to close it out at 8:20.
And as fantasy owners, good luck finding a good defense like this week. there's not
Holy.
there's not a lot of good ones. Like unless the 49ers and Seahawks is just a defensive brawl, which I
Yeah.
doubt it will be because the 49ers have been scoring at will. Good luck finding a good defense because this is gonna be a gong show for
There's gonna
every
be a
game
lot
that
of
you
blowouts.
watch. 100% a
Yeah.
lot of blowouts.
Yeah.
Uh, what would you say your favorite games are for this week?
The entire week or just tomorrow?
Just this week in general, but we can
This
tee up the
week.
Thursday games.
Ooh.
But
This week, gonna be biased. Chiefs Raiders, big win for the Chiefs coming
okay.
back off that. But then honestly, Ravens Chargers, offensive showdown.
Yeah, yeah.
That's gonna be a fun game.
That's basically
Sunday
the
night's game
Lions Ravens 2.0.
that looks really good. Yes.
Yeah,
And then Jaguars Texans
that's a good
Sunday, one
game.
o'clock.
And you know
That'd
what?
be a fun game to watch too.
I would be surprised if CJ Stroud just goes ham all over this defense because Jacksonville's coming off a big W where they just
Hmm.
smoked their other opponent. So yeah, I would like to say that it's going to be a tough matchup for CJ Stroud. We'll see what he does with it. There
That
are
smells like 31-27.
it does. It very much does.
31-27 for the Texans. That's what that smells like.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of points. There's going to be a hell of a lot of points. I like the
Actually,
Eagles
give me the
and
Jaguars to win. Sorry.
Jaguar. Okay, okay. I'm going to have to pick the Texans. They've been the team that I've liked this year, so I'm going with them, ride or die. A couple games I like. I'm a big fan of the Bills and Eagles. Classic, great.
Yep.
It's Josh Allen versus Mr. Hurts himself.
That'd be a
And
good game.
that'll be a good game. I like the Baltimore Chargers game that you mentioned. That's an 8:20 game too, so that's prime time. Sunday night
Mhm.
prime time. I actually like obviously I'm a Seahawks fan, so I'll say Niners and Seahawks, but that's not really a surprise there. I actually like the Packers and Lions. Like
Hmm.
that should
It's classic.
that should be a classic game. And honestly, Jared Goff has been struggling recently, and the Green Bay Packers could pull off an upset here. They've been looking pretty good in the last couple games. The receiving core has been doing well. I wouldn't be shocked entirely if the Packers pull off an upset here.
Jordan Love's got to show something to prove that he is the guy in Green Bay because the Packers haven't been playing horrible recently, but
No.
Jordan Love hasn't been playing great
Yeah.
either. So he definitely needs to have one of a legendary game. He needs to have a game that says, "Hey, we still own the Lions. Aaron Rodgers isn't here, but we still own the Lions as the team of the Packers. So let's get this done." So I expect big things from Jordan Love this weekend
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
tomorrow.
What would you say for the Packers and Lions game? We'll tee up these three games here for Thursday night or for Thursday football, Thanksgiving football day.
Mhm. The Lions.
Yeah. Oh, it's a safe bet, right? I mean, the Lions are the better team, and
Yeah.
you could say some of their players
AJ
have.
Dillon's out. Not AJ Dillon. Jones is out. Is he
Ed
not?
Jones is out. I think Dillon's is questionable
Yeah.
too. So both of their running backs are not looking good.
Yeah, and the Lions have like one of the best running back duos in the league, if not the best right now. So
Hmm.
I'm going with the Lions.
Yeah, that's a fair pick. I respect you for it. Uh, Commanders and Dallas. I mean, come on, like Dallas gonna win that
Cowboys
game.
by 35 points.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be a blowout because for some reason Sam Howell at the end of games just decides, all right, I'm gonna start playing, and ends up
Mhm.
ends up getting his team like 20 points in the fourth quarter.
It's true. It just goes off.
Right, just like finds some energy left in the tank. But yeah, it'll definitely be the Cowboys. Niners and
And then
Seahawks, the primetime game.
I'll let you start with that one because you are a Seahawks guy.
Oh, don't do this to me. Okay. Um I'm going to pick the Niners. The Seahawks are
Mhm.
not going to have Kenneth Walker. The Seahawks are most likely not going to have DK Metcalf or Geno Smith. We are so shorthanded. Even at full strength, we would probably still lose this game. we're probably gonna get
I was
blown
gonna
out of the
ask what the
water.
spread
Like,
was.
yeah, it's looking brutal. Like, and I don't even think Lockett is deemed as, yes, a start for Thursday. So we may not have our full receiver core, our quarterback, and our number one running back. So like we're basically going out there with a bunch of rookies
Give me the Seahawks.
against the 49ers. You're gonna
No, no, give me that. Give me
say. Can you imagine? They find a way to win. I'll be jumping up and down, running around the house if the Seahawks win this game.
Give me the CFL team, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I think they would actually beat every CFL team anyways with the
Oh,
bench squad.
100%. It
Yeah,
wouldn't even be, yeah, it
it,
wouldn't even be
it, it would be
competition.
a blowout. Yeah, 100%.
Majority of the college teams would beat CFL teams.
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, but the
Congrats to the
49ers.
Montreal Alouettes, by the way.
I know, yeah. Okay, so I was gonna bring that up in a bit, but you want to talk about that now? So, Alouettes, they won the Grey Cup. I think it was 114th, if I'm not wrong. Could be wrong there, but
104th?
104th.
Wasn't it the 404th? Because 100 was a couple years ago. Justin Bieber
Yeah, so
performed
it's
or something like
104th.
that.
104th. I knew I
Yeah.
had the 4 in there somewhere. I just went 10 up, but
14, I'd have been like, man, time flies.
yeah, that would have been crazy. But yeah, 104th Grey Cup. The Blue Bombers lose again. They can't seem to win. They always get there, but they can't find a way to win. Sucks for Jesse Pollock.
Montreal eats poutine out of the Grey Cup. Good for them.
Yeah, that was a good video. I like to see that.
You see that one player's rant? I don't know the guy's name because it's the CFL.
I don't
But
know
do
his.
you,
Yeah,
did
I
you hear
saw
that one
that.
guy's rant?
Uh-huh.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Honestly, good for him.
Yeah, it was just
You,
like,
you just won the trophy. You just want a big chip. Good for you, man. Have your moment.
yeah, good feel moment, you know? And
Yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of the CFL playoffs. I got to see the game where the Argos lost. And the story of the Montreal Alouettes has been they have good defense. They're gonna win the Grey Cup. And every single game they played in, their defense carried them in picks and
Yeah.
sacks and just every aspect of defending. And it was like good for them. You know, they grinded. They didn't know if the team in front of them was gonna be a showstopper team or like it's just like whoever's in front of us, we'll just take it one game at a time. They looked at
Yeah.
those. I think it was
Play
16
our
and
game.
2 the Argos, 16 and 2 or something.
Jeez.
Yeah, they were stupid this year, and they said, okay, well we're 1-0 in the playoffs. You guys haven't played a game, and that's exactly how they looked at them. So I love that story from the Montreal Alouettes. That was great to see.
For them.
Yeah. So there's one more thing we can chat about here. Let me just pull it up. It is the Argentina and Brazil fight that happened yesterday. It was
Yes.
like, what the heck was going on? I mean, we were both playing.
Funny enough, it's one of the
Fortnite
main,
or
it's
something,
one of the
even.
only international games. We were playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
It was one of the only international games that I've watched in the past couple months. Just because it's two big teams. It's Brazil, it's Argentina. Messi's playing. I'm gonna watch that. And then I see a bunch of commotion going on in the stands.
Yeah.
Game gets delayed. It goes crazy. And then the internet blows up that there's all these riots and big fights in the stands and everything. Argentina leaves the pitch. Some of the Brazilian players had something to say after the game about that. By the way, it was a really weird scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it was just like, what's going on? Can't we get back to the game? It's only a game.
Yeah.
Why you have to be mad?
Yeah, why you have to be mad? It's online game. It's
I love that clip. I actually was seeing that
That's one
clip
of the
with one of
best
my
of
buddies
all
today.
time.
It's so funny. I just like I don't know what we
Yeah.
were talking about. We were just like, it's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Some of my boys in my men's league, like, we'll win a game, but we won't play as well as we should have, and they'll go off in the change room, and it's like, why you have to be mad? It's only game.
Yeah, but in terms of like just seeing the videos, I think Fabrizio Romano, one of the football's greatest insiders, the best actually,
Hmm.
he posted a video on it, and I was just like, whoa, what's going on here? I guess they have different standards in Argentina, but goodness gracious, it got way out of hand. Guys were bleeding from their foreheads, like.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
I think I saw one guy like knocked out on the sidelines. It was like, oh my god.
Yep.
Is
I saw one guy with a big gash in the top of his
yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Messi and the rest of Argentina and Brazil squad, they're all just on the sidelines. Like, can we get back to the game? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was awful to see. It's times like that where you just have to come together, for the sport and just say we gotta cool it. We gotta cool it.
That's it. Yeah.
This is for the love of the game, right? We don't want to see any of that stuff happening, no matter how big the game is, no matter how great the stage is. You just got to take it
No
back and
matter who
say,
you cheer for, you just got to kind of calm down there.
yeah, 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 absolutely. Let's tee into some basketball because I know you are a huge basketball guy.
Yes.
I myself am not, but I do watch basketball occasionally. Uh, What's your thoughts on these in season tournament? Because I've caught a couple games so far. They haven't been out of this world, but they've been entertaining.
No. I think it's good for the league. Whether the players care too much or not is another conversation. But I
Yeah,
think it's good for the league. It's fun. There's cool jerseys. They're making more revenue off selling more jerseys. Obviously, the fans are getting different types of merch. The players seem to have a little bit more fun with that. The courts are really cool.
mm,
The photos of the courts are all around online. It's something to talk about too. So again, the league wins there. Everyone kind of wins. The players get to play on some cool courts. I remember Kevin Durant said something about how he loves the way the Suns court looked this season for the in-season tournament. It's cool. It's new. It's weird. Even if you ask the players, they can't describe exactly what the in-season tournament is. The
yeah,
reporters are always asking like, "Oh, how does it feel to play these games?" And they go, "It just feels like a regular game. It's not the playoffs." So probably not a huge deal to them, but again, it is some extra motivation in the regular season. It's another trophy, not a championship, but it's another trophy. It's another accolade that you can say that you've won at the end of your career.
mm,
So good for them. And again, like it does, I think, make a difference in the way that teams look at these regular season games because the Lakers, for example, are undefeated in this tournament. And that would mean that LeBron and Anthony Davis have tried to play as many games this season as possible, and in years prior, haven't.
that wasn't happening.
And
Yeah,
that goes for a lot. That goes for a lot of teams right now, or not even they haven't, but they couldn't. That goes for a lot of teams. So it's good. It's good. It's fun. I like it personally.
just taking a look at these NBA standings. Well, one thing that surprises me so far is the Magic.
Timberwolves, Magic. Okay, I thought you were gonna start in the West there.
Well, yeah, the Timberwolves again, but of course because they're 10-3. OKC, like what happened there? Denver doesn't surprise me. Mavericks is like whatever. Lakers, yeah, they couldn't be good.
OKC, I expected to be really good this year.
Yeah,
I
I
thought they were going
mean,
to be really good just because they have Chet coming back. They're all young. They're all healthy.
yeah,
Shea
Shy was gonna
is
take
a
a step up.
fantastic basketball player.
Yeah, for sure. I could see them being around the 8-6 mark, but 11-4. That's impressive. I just didn't expect that
Unheard
from
of.
them.
I wouldn't have expected that good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, the one that everyone is going cuckoo bananas about is the Memphis Grizzlies. They have just they have stunk this entire season, and didn't help that they lost Marcus Smart. How long
Yeah.
is he out? I think he's out like 6 to 8 weeks or something.
I believe so. Yeah, he's gone for quite some
He's
time.
gone for a bit. Like it's not going to get any better for this Memphis Grizzlies team, especially a
No,
a,
I didn't.
a previous Depoy player.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be great this year. Honestly, without Jaw starting for the first 25 games or whatever it is, due to the suspension, I knew they were going to start off slow.
Mm,
Trading for Smart, it was great in theory for them, but really hasn't worked out at all. I'm excited to see when John Morant gets back, how the pairing of him and Derrick Rose on the same team work out. That's going to be
yeah,
really cool to see. But the rest of the team, yeah, it's just been a huge step down to what we're used to seeing from them. They were like a one seed or a top two, three seed
I
for the
know.
past 2 years, just kind of fluttering in and out of that top three spot. And now they're 13th seed in the West, which is it's pretty interesting to see. It's very shocking, that's for sure.
Memphis fans just couldn't stop flapping their gums the last 2 years of how great their team was and their chances of, of winning a chip. It's just like, okay, yeah, you guys are a good team, but I don't know if I'm picking you guys
Yeah,
to win the whole thing. Who is it that said
I
they were
guess
fine in the
losing
West?
Dylan
Wasn't
Brooks
that
really
Jaw?
sucks. Yeah, that was Joe,
That was
and
Jaw,
they've been
right?
horrible ever since.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was so funny. I love that clip. Seeing them go back to that clip, and it's just like Jaw missing a 3 or something. just so
Yeah.
just so funny. I love
We're
those
just getting
edits.
eliminated from the playoffs. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, yeah, we're fine in the West, but we're not gonna make it anywhere there.
That's hilarious. If you had to give, I'll give mine, but I want to hear yours first. If you had to give like an early bird NBA Finals prediction for those two teams.
Bucks coming out of the East. That's pretty easy.
Okay.
They're the best team, complete team. I know a lot of people are gonna say Boston has the best starting five, and I won't agree. Talent wisely have talent in terms of more guys who have more talent than
Mm-hmm.
the Bucks, but the talent that the Bucks have is greater in terms of they have Giannis and Dame, and no one else does. That's going to be unstoppable once they really get cooking, and they're
Yeah.
starting to heat up a little bit now. But they are just going to dominate the NBA once they've established kind of their roles and everything. That's the new Shaq and Kobe. Coming out of the West, I don't want to say Denver. I don't. I see them
Why
having
not?
like a. I don't know. I just I see them having a collapse close to the end of the year. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
injury. I don't know if it's just them running into a wall.
Okay.
Um, I don't think Denver gets through this year. OKC won't have a playoff run that everyone wants them to, or
No.
they
Yeah.
think they will. If the Lakers are healthy, I think legitimately they could make it to the finals because they have a really good roster this year.
I
And
was
if
gonna
they stay
say.
healthy,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I want to see the Mavericks though, so I'm gonna say Bucks Mavericks. But it's
Okay.
probably Bucks Lakers. Also, if the NBA can have Giannis versus LeBron in the finals, they're doing that.
Yeah, I know, and that for so many years has been like a marketing scheme on TikTok and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the finals. There was a meme with the Giannis for a while that they were using some soundbite.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, that stuff was funny. Um,
What about you?
yeah, it's a toss up. Obviously I want to say the Bucks because Dame and Giannis in the playoffs. I mean, who's gonna stop that? Like the Celtics are obviously the most complete team, and any Boston fan is gonna
Yeah.
say, "Oh yeah, we're fine this year. Last year was last year. We'll figure it out. We made the trades necessary. Did you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In a 7 game series, you're not stopping Giannis and Dame.
Exactly,
Sorry.
exactly. The Celtics are a really good team. Jason Tatum, man, that guy can do wonders. But I just don't see it. I'll go with the Bucks as well. Is they're just the safest pick. There's the 76ers who are being coached by Nick Nurse now, so
Mhm.
that's a plus for them. They really needed a leader behind the bench. Um, but besides that, there's nothing unreal about that group. I mean, Joel Embiid is going to be Joel Embiid. Maxi is always going to keep doing things as rookie numbers as he was before, and now growing into kind of a young player and accepting his role. So, yeah, there's some good things about this team, but they're just not ready yet. So the Bucks.
Yeah.
In the West, I just have to say Denver. Like I would love to say the Lakers and just like it's LeBron, oh, he's going to figure it out.
Mhm.
Denver's so good. And I predicted Denver to make the NBA Finals last year. Not at the beginning of the season, but entering into the playoffs. Come playoff time, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I think it's time for Jamal Murray. I think it's time. I think he's gonna figure it out. Him and Jokic, duo. They're gonna get it done, and they finally
Mhm.
did. Yeah, I want to back Denver here and say they can make a back to back happen. And I think this could be the first time in a long time, and I have no idea what this record is in terms of years, how long ago this happened. But when was the last time the NHL and the NBA had two back to backs champions in 2 years in a row? You know what I mean? Because the Vegas Golden Knights could easily go back to back, and
It would have
Denver
been.
Denver could potentially go back to back too.
I don't know. I don't know if these were the years, but Tampa and Golden State. No.
Might have been. No, because Tampa won in the bubble, and the
Yeah,
Lakers won
you're
the
right.
bubble.
Yeah, and the only back to back after before that was Miami,
It had to be
but
the
no one.
Lakers at some point. You know what? It had to be the Lakers and the Devils. Had to be.
Miami's championships. Miami, 2012, 2013, and then 2014. They won two chips back to back. Blackhawks.
I don't think the
They go
Blackhawks
back to
ever.
back those years.
No, I think they always were interlaced between the Kings.
Alternating,
Yeah,
right?
alternating. Yeah.
Hmm.
If my guess would have to be when the Red Wings and Devils were winning all those championships in the 90s and early 2000s, and the Lakers had to win back to back at some point in those years. That would be my guess, but that's a tough one.
I'm actually gonna look this up because
Yeah.
I there's another one that's I'm kind of thinking of right now,
Well,
and
here, you
it's when
Google.
Golden State and Pittsburgh
I'll Google the
was
NHL
the thing a couple years ago.
Stanley Cup winners. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure what I was saying was probably what was gonna happen, but okay, so
Yeah,
oh, it's
who won the
just
Stanley Cup in 2016, 17, and 17, 18?
okay, so the Pens went back to back in 2016 and 17. Did Golden State go
2016 and
back?
17, and then 2017 and 18?
No. Did when did the Golden State Warriors go back to back in those years? Was it
They
2016 and
won the
2017?
2016-17 chip, and they won the 2017-2018 chip.
Oh, there you go. So the Pens and Warriors. Those are the last
Yeah,
two
so
teams.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm,
No.
nice.
I mean, yeah, that makes complete sense. And I think it happened. I think Vegas could easily go back to back. They're unstoppable. They're just,
Right now.
yeah, they look gross. And that's for a regular season team. Like in the playoffs, they only lost like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah. Giannis still hasn't defended his chip.
Yeah, I know. He's got that to
They
work
were
towards.
unhealthy the year after they won, and then last season they were unhealthy, and then he only played like 2 or 3 games in that
Mm-hmm.
first round against Miami. This year they get back to the finals, and he defends his title, and they win.
One last thought
No one's
before
stopping
we.
Milwaukee, bro.
Oh no, and they're they're fine in the East.
Yeah, they're fine in the
They're
East.
fine in the East. We should make that a new clip. One last thought before we wrap up. I want to talk a little bit about Shohei Ohtani.
Mm.
Just because he's relevant and he's the biggest free agent right now, biggest free agent in baseball in the last decade.
History.
Yeah, so I mean, who do you think he's going to?
Two answers.
Okay,
The probable answer, the Dodgers,
of course.
because they have infinite money,
Mm-hmm.
and the Blue Jays. Not only because
Hmm.
hometown team, but the diversity here in Toronto is probably the main reason. Because I don't think he maybe like San Francisco, maybe LA,
Yeah.
but I don't think anywhere else gives him the diversity and comfort that he would feel in Toronto. You know what I mean? Like because there's a huge Asian market here. There's a huge like
Yeah,
the
it's a very
fans here are
diverse
so
city.
passionate. And if they have a guy to cheer for that represents them, it's going to be insane. Like the Blue Jays already have an amazing attendance, but if you had someone who can just attract a totally different um, culture of people,
Yeah.
it's going to be insane.
I I wouldn't expect you to say the Blue Jays, to be quite honest, because they're very much in a situation like the Raptors. They're Canada's team, right? So, and the MLB doesn't really want them to be good, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
They don't want to see a Canadian market succeeding, very much like the NBA was with the Raptors when they won. It was very you know, hide all the posters and posts you can about the Raptors and just kind of sink it into a dumpster fire. But yeah,
Yeah, they don't talk about it anymore.
that's kind of what happens with the Blue Jays if they were to ever win, or if they were to ever get a big player, they just want to hide it and keep those big
Yep.
players away. because it's all about ratings at the end of the day, right? So I do think the Dodgers are number one, and they will forever stay the number one possible and probable destination. But I second the Yankees. Um,
I was
there's
thinking,
just
yeah,
there's just something about that Yankees market, and every baseball player growing up probably wants to be a Yankee, just because it's the most well-known organization in baseball history, and something about putting on those stripes, and being in that stadium in that city, and that vibe, and representing the black and white colors on that jersey. It's it's something that is unique to its own sport and unique to almost every North American sport. It's probably one of the most like standout jerseys and teams you could play for in all of sports, maybe besides like the Dallas Cowboys. But I would even say the Yankees. It's probably a bigger face to play for, and bigger to be on the team rather, because Dallas Cowboys and the NFL, it's a bigger roster, right? So you get kind of lost in the big players and the
I'd agree.
names. Uh, but yeah, I would love to see Shohei Ohtani on either the Yankees or the Jays. Even being a Jays fan, you know, seeing Shohei Ohtani possibly a couple more times a year than we would have seen him playing for the Los Angeles of Anaheim, I'll take it. Getting a chance to watch him play in another uniform, even if it's not the Jays, we'll take
Yeah,
anything we can get. Right? He's an incredible player, and he may not even pitch ever again. He's apparently got
it's
some
true.
Tommy John issues, or supposed elbow issues. It's Tommy John. We already know.
Tommy John.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we figured it out. We
we know what
scouted.
that is.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know what this is.
yeah. But man, if he ever came to the Blue Jays, everyone
Sell out every day.
stop what you're doing. Turn your phones off. Go run outside and jump and dance, because that guy, what he would bring to this Toronto market. You think Kawhi was big? Holy shit, Shohei Ohtani
Guys,
would be
yeah,
stupid.
Kawhi isn't a generational player like this guy.
Yeah, and just the diversity in the city alone, like you mentioned, with Shohei Ohtani, would just revolutionize the look of this game for the city once again. Since they won back in 92, 93, it
Oh
would
yeah.
do wondrous things for the Jays. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on it. Yeah, that's been
To see him play in the same jersey Babe Ruth played in would be pretty sweet too.
ooh, yeah, just the amount of stars that have gone through that system, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, that's been our pod for today. We don't have a name yet. We're
Episode
working on
one.
it. Yeah, we're gonna see what we can think of. But everyone enjoy Thursday football, because I know me and Nick will. We're definitely gonna be
Yes.
watching on tablets, iPads, MacBooks, whatever screen we can find. And there's gonna be a game on. That's
Yep.
gonna be a very joyous day. But yeah, enjoy American Thanksgiving, or as us Canadians call it,
Happy
Thursday.
Thanksgiving to all the American viewers. Yeah.
Have you seen that Jay and Dan clip before?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
You
it's
gotta send me
so
that.
funny. Okay, so tomorrow, or today, but tomorrow, make sure you go on Jay on Sports Center,
Will
and
do.
you'll see it pop up. He posts it every year, and it's this one joke he made like 4 years ago, and he was like, just want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans out there, or as Canadians like to call it, Thursday. It's just it's just
With his timing, that's
such a
perfect.
funny 10-second clip. And you know Jay, right? Like, just the way his
Oh
mannerisms are,
yeah,
but it was
of course.
hilarious. uh but yeah, that was funny. And us Canadians, yeah, it's just a Thursday for us. But
Exactly. Just
yeah,
Thursday. Got work.
yeah, gotta work. But happy Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates it, and to everyone in the States. Enjoy the turkey. I enjoyed mine when we had our Thanksgiving and here in Canada. So yeah, everyone indulge and watch football and watch hockey. Watch every sport you can. It's gonna be fun.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you guys later. Take it easy.
Take care, guys.